What are some basic warning signs or early signs of depression that parents should look for?
Even pre-adolescent, a lot of children are coming to us with concerns of stress, of depression, and of anxiety. That UPSC is the only way ahead for me. Medicine is the only way ahead for me. Cracking the IIT and the GEE is the only way ahead for me. Not only to see what is desirous as per the society, but also to see where is my passion. Indian academic system needs a global change, and listening is very different from hearing. Everybody who scores 99 need not be successful. The successful person will be who even scores 60% and 70% but has the emotional intelligence and the social intelligence.
Sponsored by
Mother Dairy.
Hi, I'm Shreyasa Vijay and you're watching Ritam. Today we turn our focus to a matter of paramount significance, that is, mental health challenges faced by today's youth. In recent years, the increasing mental health issues among youngsters have become a pressing concern. And to talk more on that, today we have Dr. Bhavna Barmi, who is a clinical psychologist and a relationship therapist. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us.
My pleasure. It's a very pertinent and a very sensitive topic, Shreya, that you've picked up.
Yes. To begin with, I would like to know your perspective. What have you observed the recent trends and patterns in the mental health of youngsters?
See, Shreya, one thing that I would like to tell you is that mental health definitely has built up manifold in the younger generation. Earlier, the word stress and depression was mostly heard, if at all, starting young adults onwards. Nowadays, it has age regressed. Starting with about 9 or 10 years of age, even pre-adolescent, a lot of children are coming to us with concerns of stress, of depression, and of anxiety. So these are the three terms that have become a part and parcel, unfortunately, of a young child's mind and his life, which definitely is not good for the entire foundation of this child, because these are his founding years, and if these founding years are coming with stress and anxiety, leading him to a reduced self-esteem, body image issues, etc., then definitely it takes a toll throughout the lifestyle and the life cycle that the child is going to go through.
So what are the primary factors, that influence mental health of children, especially?
I would say in times of today that there is a lot of exposure that the child is getting. Now, this exposure is not just limited to the parents and to the school. The exposure has become worldwide. Okay. And thereby the socio-cultural milieu has become very different for both. The culture from where the child is coming, the parenting that the child is getting, the education that the child is getting is one limited parameter, which is actually taking him into manifolds of a global exposure, which may be very different from his or her. And thereby there is a discrepancy that gets created in the mind of the child. So what is real is different from what is out there. But what is out there is impacting the child's psyche even more, because the child is thinking that is ideal, or that outside of me is real, that is perfect. And the competitiveness to be a part of that global bandwagon is actually bringing about a lot of pressure on the child. So originally the pressures were coming from the parents. You must do well, you must have a nice career, you must groom yourself up 100% in all aspects of your life.
Exactly.
Sports bhi hoga, extracurricular bhi hoga, and especially with Indian young children, academics is a very big parameter on their minds, So with these boards coming up, or with these competitive exams which are becoming even more competitive, whether it is the engineering, whether it is the medicine, whether it is any kind of competitive exam, the civil services, we are seeing that the pressure that the child brings along is the parental pressure, is the current societal pressure, and is also the global pressure. Thereby, there is a threefold impact that the child has and makes a life unrealistically with expectations for himself. And that sometimes leads them to not just being anxious, because anxiety can also boost performance if it is up to an optimal level. But when it goes beyond, when it turns into an extreme form of pressure and anxiety, then it takes the children towards burnout, towards breakdown. And you're seeing that the number of suicides that we are seeing in the young children today are like never ever before. They're multiplying, and it is very, very sad and very, very unfortunate that we are having very little control over this issue.
Yes, actually, according to the data of NCRB, suicides from 2018 to 22, it was around 7.6 lakhs in India completely, and out of which student suicide accounted for around 60,000.
This is very unfortunate that even before a child has completed his studenthood, which is according to our Vedas the first phase of our life, before that also a child is ready to end their life. It's extremely unfortunate, and I think each one of us is responsible for taking the child to that dimension that he does not even want to explore the facets of life that can come upon him, and he's ready to give that up. So the amount of resilience that we are seeing in our children today has dropped. So we don't want to bounce back. We just want to end our life because we are not able to cope up with the pressures that life brings upon us and also the expectations that we bring upon ourselves. And we also have an all or none thinking pattern that we see in children. All or none thinking means I clear this exam and then I'm good. If I don't clear this exam, I'm a failure. And because I'm a failure, I have no right to live. And they just completely get into a state of depression, and that leads them to such unfortunate events in their life.
Even the UPSC aspirants you were talking about, if they, do not achieve their goals, what they aimed for, they suffer from depression, or either they also resort to suicide. So how should one deal with failure in that case?
See, one thing that I would suggest to all my youth is that we need to have a very holistic thought process of our life. Yes, one important part of your life is your academics. Another important part of your life is your career. Yet, there is not only one career line that is waiting for you. In your life, there are many, many opportunities that come. So, you must open your minds to that plethora of opportunities that are coming your way. Because sometimes what happens is we become unidirectional. That UPSC is the only way ahead for me. Medicine is the only way ahead for me. Cracking the IIT and the GEE is the only way ahead for me. But that is not true. That is only one of the ways in the many that there are. So the first thing is we must have a holistic understanding to explore the various many facets that life has today. And trust me, there are many, many more career opportunities in times of today than ever before. So we must be open with not only our open minds, but also with all our sensations open. And that is not only for students, that is also for our parents. The parents must also encourage the child that it is not only becoming a doctor, an engineer, a chartered accountant, which is making you successful.
Exactly.
You are one of the leading media people in the country today. So you are so successful. We have a sports person who's so successful, a musician, an artist, besides everything else from a chef to so many other things that a child can do. So very important for that child, for that student, not only to see what is desirous as per the society, but also to see where is my passion, where is my interest. And when you choose a career line which suits both your passion, your career, along with what is the need of the hour that the society is giving you as an opportunity, then it's a win-win for you. Myself being a psychologist, it doesn't even seem as if I work. I can work 12 hours, I can work 18 hours. We did 20 hours of work during the COVID times because mental health had also become an epidemic.
Yeah.
But because you love what you do, it didn't seem as if you were working. It was just a part of your bloodstream. It was just a part of the energies that drive you. So very important for our young students to know is you must also choose a career path, what you love or what at least interests you. And then there is a win-win situation created.
But sometimes it happens that people, even at the age of 20, 28, 30, even in 30s, do not find their passion at all. So they feel clueless and lost sometimes, even in their 30s. So what should these people do?
They should just explore. It's absolutely fine to be in a state of confusion, because only that confusion is going to lead you into the right direction that you want. So be ready to explore. Be ready to express that I am not okay. But it's not good to stay not okay. You can say, I'm not okay, but I'm ready to move towards becoming okay. So you explore, you seek guidance from others who can, help you experience. You get into different forms of internships. So you can take an internship in X, Y, and Z, and then decide out of X, Y, and Z, maybe Z is suiting me the best. And when you choose Z, even if that Z path is not suiting you, you can try A, B, and C. And eventually, after you've experienced, you can choose either one path, or parallelly you can do two also. So what can happen is, one can be your career path. I was just, having a client who's a doctor, and a doctor from a very esteemed institute. And he studied in one of these premier leagues, and alongside, he cultivated his passion of singing. And today, he spends 70% of his time, productive time for his career, and he spends 30% of his time in his hobby, in his passion, in whatever area that interests you. So that complements you. And that gives you that holistic upsurge to be able to do your best in both spheres. Your career supports your passion, and sometimes your passion can support your career. That is, if your passion is not becoming your career, which is also absolutely fine.
Okay, if we talk about children, what are some basic warning signs or early signs of depression that parents should look for? Because sometimes even parents get confused if a child is being just a child or if they are being rebellious. So how should they identify if their child is suffering from depression or anxiety?
See, I would classify warning signs in 4 different aspects. So the first aspect is the child will give you some somatic responses. So you'll see either a disturbance in their sleep, which we call psychologically as insomnia. Insomnias are of 3 types. One is an initial insomnia. The child will have difficulty in falling asleep. So he'll keep tossing and turning in bed, and then he'll eventually go off to sleep. Second is called middle insomnia, where the child wakes up many times during the night without any probable reason. And the third is called terminal insomnia. Terminal insomnia is an early morning awakening. The child has to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, but he gets up 2 or 3 hours earlier. So this is the first sign, a disturbance in sleep, which the parent can observe, or a disturbance in your appetite. Either the child starts eating a lot more, what we call as emotional eating, or the child completely gives up on food and becomes a very fussy eater, becomes a very picky eater. And you also see either weight gain or weight loss. And the third thing that is very evident, even without the child saying anything, is these kind of body image changes. Or the child complains to your psychosomatic aches and pains. The head is always heavy, the neck is always paining, there's always fatigability that the child complains of. So these are some signs in the first aspect, which I said was the physiological or the somatic aspect. Second aspect that we have is our cognitive aspect. Forgetfulness, memory concerns start coming. I've studied everything, but tomorrow when I go into the paper, I am blank. I can't remember anything. So when the child comes back to you with such kind of concerns at the cognitive level, it is an alarm for every parent. Third is the emotional aspect. So either the child internalizes the stress and gets into that sign of feeling sad, expressing sadness, not interacting with others, staying alone, not doing the usual things that the child liked to do. The child liked to go and have an ice cream. The child liked to go out in the garden and play. The child liked to watch television. So that means the child is internalizing the stress or the pressures, which takes him into a gamut of depression, a red flag for us as parents. Or the child is externalizing the stress. Anger, irritability, short temper, displacement of anger. Most of the time it comes out on parents or siblings. Peer pressure at school, bullying at school, academic decline, the teacher being rude, whatever. And when you come back home, you see that the child is taking out all that frustration onto the
Parents.
parents, and the
Okay.
child and the parent can't understand,
What's happening?
what happened.
Yeah.
So these are again emotional signs that the child is externalizing the stress in terms of anger, irritability, and apprehensions about the future. So they give you signs like this, that there are ideas of helplessness, hopelessness, worthlessness. Pick up these subtle signs and you will definitely be able to prevent the child coming into a mental health concern.
So how should one decide, that whether it's time to go to a therapist or a psychiatrist?
See, I would feel any of these signs that we've spoken of, whether
Hmm.
it is somatic, whether it is cognitive, whether it is behavioral, whether it is emotional. If you're seeing a red flag in any of these, and you see this red flag or this negative response persisting for more than few times
Okay.
and more than few days, I think it is time for you to consult a professional. If your child is an adolescent, trust me, they will open up very easily with a therapist. So give them that opportunity. Don't wait. It's like, don't let mountains be made out of moles. Don't say that only if there are very many of these red flags that come into my child's life is when I'm going to seek medical intervention. Seek it day one, signal one that is coming into your child's life.
But sometimes what we see is that, child is scared to reach out to their parents. So in that case, how should a parent respond? And what would you advise, to a parent so that they can bring about those changes?
See, I think the number one thing for us to do is listen. And listening is very different from hearing.
Exactly. So if we talk about the current education system, they prepare a child for highly competitive exams and all, but they do not prepare them to lead a proper, comfortable life without these issues. So do you think our education system needs a change?
Definitely. I think especially the Indian academic system needs a global change, and we need to pick up a lot more which is called experiential learning than rote learning that is there. We also need to teach the child about the morals, values, ideologies of our life. So thereby our holistic approach to academics is very important. That means please focus on the IQ, which is building up their intelligence quotient, but equally focus on their EQ, which is their emotional intelligence, and their SQ, which is their social quotient, because especially as children, all these parameters are very, very important to create that strong spine in them. Because everybody who scores 99 need not be successful. The successful person will be who even scores 60% and 70%, but has the emotional intelligence and the social intelligence, the interpersonal skills by their side. So I think definitely a 100% improvement in our academic system needs to come our way.
When we talk about Indian perspective, there has always been a cultural stigma around mental illness. People generally do not talk about it, or if somebody talks about it, we generally, judge them that they're being crazy and all.
I think the number one thing is for us as adults to accept that mental health is like any other physical health. Even if you look at the WHO definition of health, it encompasses mental health very beautifully into it. So I think we as individuals need to be very, very matter of fact that health is health and mental health is an important component of our overall health. Secondly, when you see signs, do not hush them up. Speak to the person about it, especially if it is your children. And please go ahead and seek medical help. There are a lot of other, helps that there is. There's faith healing, there are life coaches, there are, all these various mentors and names that are coming about. But for mental health, psychiatrists, psychologists, and counselors are the people to go to, and call a spade a spade. So go to a doctor, go to a professional, thinking that it is a health concern and nothing else. And health concerns have resolutions. So you come to your correct doctor and you will have the correct resolution, and life is going to be bang on, happy and healthy back for you.
If we talk about recent time, numerous celebrities are, keep talking about mental health and illness in recent days. Several celebrities often fall prey to depression and suicide. For example, if we talk about actor Sushant Singh's demise. After his demise, a huge discussion was there on television, social media about mental health. And parallelly, in COVID-19 also, we saw that several people who were leading a comfortable life were facing some sort of mental illness. And if we look at the current situation, almost every teenager say that they are facing some sort of mental illness and they're depressed. So there can be two narratives: either there is something terribly wrong in the country right now, or they are just latching on the wave. It's cool to be depressed these days.
See, I would say that mental health concerns have always been a part and parcel of our life. In times of today, like you rightly said, there is a lot more exposure, and especially when celebrities are okay to come out of the closet, it does give a confidence to the society that if they can fall prey despite all the benefits that they have, then it's okay for me also to go through it. So I would not say that it's just a mere fad or it's cool to be having a mental health concern. I think mental health concerns have built up, and like you said, in COVID-19, genuinely there were physiological changes that the mind and the body went through, and they took us to extreme amounts of stress, and that stress led us to mental health breakdowns. And we do need to treat depression as a mental health concern and not just say I'm cool to be stressed, or I'm cool to be depressed, or I'm cool to have a therapist. You need to take whatever signal signs that are coming your way in a serious manner, and there are serious mental health concerns which are on the upsurge today.
People generally say that if you're feeling depressed or upset about something, go out, do gym, do exercise, yoga and all. So it is the sole recluse to depression, or if not, what are some other ways people can come out of depression and anxiety?
Shreya, I think one very good parameter which generically works for mental health is a good round of exercise. Because whether we want it or not, when we do a good round of exercise, it builds up an hormone called endorphins. And these are the happy dolphins. So whenever we are in mental health, stress or depressed or anxious conditions, these fall down for us. So the moment we exercise, like I said, whether we want it or not, there is going to be a betterment. It's like when I have fever, I do take a paracetamol, and my fever, whether I want it or not, will come down. So exercise has that same direct beneficial correlation. Then there are other things that we can do. We can plan our day very, very constructive. So when we get up, we can get up with keeping a blessings diary or a gratitude journal for ourselves, in which we acknowledge the blessings that life bestows on us. So it is like seeing these silver linings in a dark cloud. It makes that cloud also shine. So the more you write, the more times when you are in states of low, you can relook on your writings in the blessings diary or the gratitude journal and feel that endorphin come up again. Start your day with something powerful, like even a meditative experience or a breathing experience. It's going to bring about an alignment of your mind and your heart, which usually starts wavering when we do have mental health concerns. Because in mental health, either it is a thought disorder or it is a mood disorder. So thought disorders can take you into the likes of even things like a psychotic breakdown or schizophrenias, and mood disorders are things like bipolar illness that we were talking about commonly, which we call as depression, etc. So when we align the mind and the heart, we are already preventing ourselves from getting into a mental health gamut. Then doing something which is productive for your own life, which could be academics when you're young, it could be a career choice when you're older. Coming back with that productivity makes you feel very satisfied. And then taking that on into social connects that you had. Like in COVID-19, we all realized that people who had good social connects were the people who were more resilient and were able to bounce back into life. Keeping quality time for your family. We say a family that eats together lives together happily. So even eating together without gadgets, without television, without your mobile phone, will give you that new sense of being able to communicate, because communication is again a very powerful tool to prevent mental health concerns. Because when you communicate, you're able to express. You're able to express what was good, and that rejuvenates you. You're able to express what was not so good in your life, what stressed you out. So you're also taking it out. And when you're communicating with people who are near and dear to you, they will also give you solutions. They will also give you suggestions that you can use to better the problems or the stress coming in your life. So it is very important to be receptive. So one, be expressive where you can express, and secondly, be receptive. That you can understand what the person is saying. You need not choose and do exactly that, but at least be receptive, because then you will have a 360-degree approach to understanding that there are very many alternatives to a same problem. So the most important thing is look into the mirror every day and say to yourself that this is what I love about my own self. So you need to keep building yourself up and not let any vacuum come that gets built in with others. Second important thing is internal validation. So we must be internally motivated, we must be internally validated, so that we don't have to look out to the world and to the social sphere to get that external validation. If I feel this is looking good on me, then this is looking good on me. I don't need Shreya or any other person to be able to say that to me, because I love my own self. So it's best to be most comfortable in your skin, thin or fat, fair or dark. You love yourself.
Okay, so in the end, what would you like to say to our viewers who might be suffering from depression, anxiety, or any other mental issues?
I would say, don't keep yourselves in the closet. Move out from the closet. Look after yourself as much as you can. Seek out support from your near and dear ones who can offer that support to you. Sometimes when they don't know what to offer to you, you can reach out to them and say that if you offer this to me, I would feel better. Rest, you can always reach out to professionals without any stigma, because confidentially, non-judgmentally, the psychiatrists and the psychologists are waiting out there for you. Last two messages I would say is, deal with the problem while it is small. Don't make mountains out of moles. And lastly, whenever there is a problem in your life, move out of that problem into the solution gamut. The more time and energy you spend in the problem is going to become bigger. The sooner you move out of the problem into the solution zone, you will get many more solutions, and your focus will become a satisfactory, successful, health engaging one for each one of you.
On that note, thank you so much for joining us and talking to us about these issues, mental health issues. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Shreya.
If you are suffering from suicidal thoughts, or somebody around you is under distress or in depression, please reach out to them with kindness. Thank you so much for joining us. Keep watching Ritam.